and welcome back. Yes, we are back live, and now I'm gonna chat with my favorite. Hi, Bianca. Yes, guesses who? You must have seen the story. He was getting all ready. He had to do his hair, he had to apply blush and all because he had to join us live. My favorite, Bharat sir. We're gonna discuss with him his journey from Amul goal to That's My Goal. And let's see if he's live here, if his makeup and all is done. Just join him. Malak Irfan, thank you for appreciating. Hello!
Hi.
How are you? I know you're very excited for this live. You've done your hair, and you've applied
Yeah.
blush and all of
I
it.
spent I spent so much money on doing all that, doing my hair and things. It's worth it. Come on.
I know. That's my goal. Goal wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So this whole thing is happening thanks to you.
Yeah.
So today that we have the ad guru, the actor, the playwright, obviously I cannot finish his entire Gurukul and the syllabus in one live chat. So let me tell you all and let me warn them that when you start with a story, you go on and on and it cannot get done in one live chat. There are times I have to go on being like, sir, shut me, you can't continue the story. So we're gonna have a lot more live sessions because he is an like a guru with whom you can just keep learning and learning. I have learned a lot, though he still is teaching me on every phone call that where I've gone wrong and how I can do better and all of that. So yes, okay, your fans are saying Bharat sir ke French cut swag and ad guru and hearts pouring in and a lot of hellos and highs. So, sir, tell me, how did you start your journey as a copywriter?
I didn't start my journey as a copywriter. I'm a lawyer. So I started my journey by learning law and wanting to be a policeman. And then I did business management. And then I started working as a management trainee. And then I got into advertising as a client servicing person, not as a copywriter. And I was handling almost 70% of the agency's clients. And I started writing on those clients myself. Because otherwise what happens normally is when you are a client servicing person, you take a brief from a client, then you come back to the agency, you tell the copywriter to come up with an idea, and then creative guys they have their own, ego hassles. So you have to sort of cajole them and get it done. Then I said, instead of going through all that trouble, why don't I write it myself? So I started writing on all the accounts, on the clients that I was handling. I started writing myself, and things started getting approved. So I became a client servicing person, come a creative person, and that's how it continued all the time.
Which was the first ad that you wrote for? Oh, our
The
producer Richa
first,
Goyal is here. She's saying hi. Producer को पहले hi
hi
बोलना
Richa.
पड़ता है बीच में.
Richa, you owe me money for the play.
Richa, me too. For that's my goal.
Okay, first ever ad that I wrote was for I wrote that in English, but it was a Kannada ad for a Tata tea product called Leo Chai, which was launched in Karnataka. And I wrote the first ad, which was a sort of a television commercial that time. Not television, I think it was a film, 1 minute film. That time there was television wasn't so big. It was later on that television became big. That time we used to make films for the theaters. So this was a film for the theater. That was my first ever creative campaign that I did. And I still remember the words clearly, although it's in Kannada, but that was my first ad. So, it's like you always remember the first thing that you do.
So, can you tell us the English words in Kannada that you remember clearly?
The whole story that was Leo Chai had a lion on the pack. That's why it was called Leo. So I had, my story was there's this very henpecked husband, and we had taken this guy, I forget his name, he used to work on television, Doordarshan Center. And we took Shubha Khote as the wife, and she's this dominating wife. So he's gone and done some marketing and he's come home with stuff, and she's shouting at him. I've told you to do this. You would never do one thing. I tell you 5 things and you forget 10 things out of that. And she's constantly screaming at him. And he quietly goes and puts that Leo pack on the kitchen platform. And when she goes inside, the lion comes out of that Leo pack. And the Kannada version was, she shouts and says, Ayo, Simha, Simha. And the lion comes and says, Nanu Nina Patiraya, Urudirave Simha Chapina, Leo Dashaha, Tata Finde Evara, Simha Chapina, Leo Dashaha, 100-gram packet, 1 rupee, 84 paise. So that was the Kannada thing which I still remember. And then that handpicked guy drinks that tea, and then he becomes like a lion. He becomes a dominating sort. That was the ad. So that was the first ever thing that I wrote, and that worked very well.
But did the wives go ahead and buy the chai? Because no wife wants
Yeah,
a.
because no, but then the husband would force them to do that, no? Because once they realize that if I drink this tea, I get this powerful force in me, then the husband would force them. So our tea sold very well.
So I had to get him to say this story because I've heard it so many times and I still laugh at it when I hear, oh, by the way, Richa has said hello and she's saying, I'm going from here because you're asking me money. And she's saying, please translate, sir. So Richa is having her blonde moments. Richa, so translate it.
So it was the thing was the lion comes out and he says, Ayo, Simha, Simha, because she's very scared of him. Ayo, lion, lion. And the lion comes and says, no, I am not a lion. I've come here to give you a very powerful tea. I am your husband. I've come here to give you a powerful tea. And this is a Tata tea, which costs 1 rupee 82 paise or 89 paise. It was that cheap at that time, 100 grams. So the whole thing was a fun film and it worked very well. Because humor always works in advertising if you do it well.
If you do it well is the key.
Yeah.
So you've done so many ads. I mean, you've written for so many ads that we can have an entire one session only about ads and ads. But Amul ad is something that just outlived all of them because of their catchy lines and especially because they were on current issue. So what was the brief that was given to you? How did the whole Amul thing happen?
Okay, Amul thing didn't happen. I didn't start it. I wasn't the guy who created the Amul girl. Mr. Sylvester Dicuna, with whom I worked, I mean, he was the owner of the agency which I joined, my first agency. He created the Amul girl. The whole thought of an Amul girl was created by him. And it was drawn by a person called Eustace Fernandez, who used to work in another agency. And he drew that Amul girl and the Amul boy. And the line Utterly Butterly was the part of a long jingle that they had. So the last two lines were, Amul is the answer to your wishes. It's utterly butterly delicious. So when I joined advertising, Amul girl existed, utterly butterly line existed. But it was very English. So it was the lines on the hoardings were puns on English words and things like that. So my contribution to Amul was, or the Amul butter I'm specifically saying, was that I Indianized the Amul girl. Because I had the advantage that I could write in Marathi, I could write in Hindi, I could write in Gujarati. So I started mixing things. I could write in English. So I Indianized the girl. So otherwise she was a girl in a polka dotted frock and shoes and socks, and she was an English kind of a girl. And then I Indianized her. I put her in Nauwari sari, I put her in Chania choli, I put her in Bengali saris, I put her in a South Indian lungi. So I kept doing this with different languages. And I kept changing the hoardings faster than they used to do earlier. And I think that's what caught on finally. Because it was changing fast and it was very topical. And we made fun of everything. But we never took sides. So even if I did political hoardings, it wasn't against one party or for one party. We would just make fun of everybody that came. We made fun of films. We did takeoffs on films. We did takeoffs on all kinds of things. And that worked. People loved it. So I did, frankly, after that, I have launched many Amul products. I launched Amul Dahi, I launched Amul Lassi, I launched Amul Milkshakes. I launched the first Tetra Pak Amul milk, which used to come in a triangular pack like that. We used to call it the pyramid pack. But somehow Amul butter stayed in people's mind because people had that fascination about who's writing these hoardings kind of a thing. So they would try to find out. And that's
because
how it
they were
became. I used to
very
get lots of
catchy.
letters. They were catchy and I used to get lots of letters from people. I mean, it was like a huge fan mail, not for me, for Amul butter lines. They didn't know I was writing them that time. And I used to get hate mail also. People would say, I like your hoardings, but the last 3 weeks I found that the hoardings are horrible. Please improve, whoever is writing this. So I used to get mails like that. But it was great fun. It was a great interaction with the consumers.
Since you wrote so many catchy lines, and now we know that the Amul girl loved you because you gave a different wardrobe. She didn't have to just stick to that one polka
Yeah,
dot dress that she was given.
yeah,
So
yeah.
now we know the reason why Amul girl loves you because that's my girl loves you. But now I also know about Amul girl. So, from all those catchy lines, do you remember any of those catchy lines that because you're
I
very good
remember
with your
all of
memory?
I remember all of them. How long do you have? I remember all of them.
I'm
So I'll
okay
tell
with
you a
hearing
few.
a few.
I'll tell you a few. There was one which did very well, which was there was a Pakistani batsman called Zahir Abbas, who was fantastic, and we had a India-Pakistan tour, test match tour going on. And in every match, in every inning that he played against us, he would score a century. So I wrote a Amul hoarding saying Zahir Abbas and have some utterly batterly Amul. And we put up that hoarding, and there was a match in Lahore or Karachi or something, and Zahir Abbas got out for 14 runs. So we put a banner on the hoarding saying, "Thank you, Zahir, for listening to Amul and getting out." So we did lots of them. We did one I remember was when Sunil Gavaskar scored, he beat Don Bradman's record. That time we had done a hoarding which said "Dawn of a New Era." DON Dawn. And we showed the little Sunil Gavaskar, the short guy, with the sun rising behind him. So we did lots of stuff. We did Tamil hoardings also. There was once a Tamil film called Onnai Vida Martin, which in Tamil meant I won't leave you. And the hoarding for that was MGR, who was the hero of that film, and Jayalalitha, the later on chief minister, was the heroine. And it was MGR holding Jayalalitha and saying, Onnai Vida Martin, means I won't leave you. Now, I knew that in Tamil, milk, butter is called Vennai. So, in the hoarding, we removed the Jayalalitha picture. We put the Amul girl there with the butter pack in her hand, and we said, Vennai Vida Martin, I won't leave butter. So, we used to do these kinds of language things all over the place, and that worked very well. There are lots of these examples.
There was a line on JRD Tata, which Rucha Singh
There was
is
a line
your
on
favorite.
JRD
So,
Tata. Yeah, JRD Tata. What happened was he was the first aviation guy in our country. You know, he had flown a plane first time. It was a big news, and then he repeated that feat years later. So what I had done is I had shown two little Parsi boys looking up in the sky like a Superman, and there was JRD like a Superman flying over them. And the Superman, the film line is, that's a bird, that's a plane, no, that's a Superman. That was a plane, the film line. So I had these two Parsi, one boy and one girl, looking up at the sky at JRD flying like Superman. And he's saying, that's a plane, that's a bird. And he said, no, that's Apro Superman. That's our Superman, Amul Bhatta. So we had done that. And I had sent that hoarding to JRD as a gift.
and Dr. Neelam.p, my dear mother, is here online, and she's saying we miss you and your stories, Bharat ji. That's why, mom, we got him live today because quarantine में क्या कर सकते? We said, चलो, let's hear the stories.
Then we had another hoarding was, I think, the first time when Azharuddin joined the team, and he used to score a century in every inning that he played. And that was a record. So then I had done a thing saying Hazaro Din Ka Taste Record. TASTE Taste Record. Amul Bhatta. We had, there were lots of them.
Any
They
on
just
your
went on
favorite
and on
Jagu
and on.
Dada? Was there any favorite line on
No, he
Jagu
wasn't.
Dada?
No, because although I knew Jackie, we were friends from even much before he got into films. We've been friends forever. But he hadn't joined films at that time when we were doing Amul Bhatta. And I never did lines for friends. I did them. If he did a film which became very popular, then we would do a little takeoff on that. Like when Umrao Jan, the film became very popular. It had that, the poster was a little frame with Rekha inside the frame and it said Umrao Jan. So I had Amul Bhatta girl dressed like Rekha in the film with the hand outside and a slice of bread, and it said Umrao's Jan, Amul Bhatta. So we just added a Umrao's to that Umrao Jan logo. So these kinds of things worked well because they were topical and people sort of laughed with them and it worked.
So Ankur Kakatkar is saying, I've got the pleasure to read That's My Girl and even listen it from him. And I've got the pleasure to act in it. So I'm so even more blessed. So hello Sonal, hello Diksha. Okay, sir. So you as a copywriter must be told to be brief and memorable. Memorable, you are always with your stories. How difficult was it to be brief? Because you are a person who can go on and then you have to just write like one or two
No,
lines.
that is the thing. That's why I always say uh, it's easy writing poems, it's easy writing plays, easy writing films. The most difficult creative output is in advertising. For two reasons. One is that you have maybe 30 seconds, now not even that much, 20 seconds, to entertain, to sell your product, to do all kinds of things. Or you have an ad which can only accommodate maybe 50 words. And then you are talking to people that you don't know. See, when we do a play and we go to a theater, we know what the audience is like. We know what their tastes are like. And if something we find that is not working, we can change it in the next show. In advertising, you're talking to people who are maybe in Mumbai, they're in Pune, they're in Delhi, they're in Bihar, they're in some small village, Chandosi in UP, they're in Kerala, and you're talking to all of them and doing it in 30 seconds and trying to sell a product. So advertising is the most difficult of the all creative endeavors. Nothing comes near advertising. And plus it's creativity on demand. Now, if I've written a play and then I don't feel like writing a play for the next 6 months, no one's going to force me. I'll say I don't have a good idea. Or if I'm writing a film, I'll say I can't think of a good idea. I won't write a film. In advertising, it is creativity on demand. A client comes and says, we have to launch a new product. I need this campaign by day after tomorrow. And you have to come up with that campaign, go and present the campaign. Chances are he'll reject that campaign. And he'll say, come back tomorrow or day after again with a new idea. And you have to constantly keep on coming up with new ideas, going there, getting rejected, smile, come back, smile and go again and present to the same people. And it can go on and on. I always say in advertising, you need two things. One is you need creativity and you need a rhino's skin. You have to be absolutely somebody who can't get disappointed by rejection. If you can't take rejection, you shouldn't be in advertising. Because on a daily basis, you have rejection happening to you. But it's great fun. It's one of the best businesses to be in.
And we have our Sharmaji here. He's saying hello. He's saying, my God, what a rammer, what a hunk. Who's this cool dude? Well, Sharmaji, our favorite Bharat is here. You know, tomorrow I'm going for Antakshri with Sharmaji at 8 o'clock.
I beat him. I beat him. He won't tell you that, but I beat him. What he did is he knew I would beat him. So instead of a half an hour slot that he normally gives people, he made sure that for the first 15 minutes, technically I wasn't coming on. So then he had Ananth sir, he had some other people coming in and playing instead of me. So I worked very hard. I got myself in the last 15 minutes and then I beat him. And then the problem is what happened was I was beating him, but just before my Antakshari started, his office people had called me up and said, look, he hates being beaten. And if you beat him, then he won't get angry with you. He'll come to the office and take the anger on us. So please lose. In the end, I started sort of losing to help him, because I said, these people shouldn't get bothered with this. Otherwise, I would have beaten him hollow.
Yeah, but he's saying he lost. Sharmaji, will I win tomorrow? Can I bribe you? I can tell Romy Bites to make some good food for you tomorrow before I come for Antakshri. All true, Sharmaji is saying. Okay, Karishma Chaturpati saying, I really want to know the secret of your super fitness, Bharat sir.
Super fitness is, I'll tell you, I say this all the time. One is I have never smoked in my life, not even a puff. So even if I have acted in a film and they said smoke, I would say light the cigarette and give it to me. And
But you had phantom cigarette.
The phantom cigarettes, since childhood I've been eating it and I buy it for other people like you too, and you steal them from me. So I've never smoked in my life. I have launched all the liquors that Vijay Mallya has produced. And I've never touched liquor in my life, not even wine or beer or liqueurs. And I work out every day. I used to box for my college. For 2 years, I used to represent my college in welterweight boxing. And I've never stopped working out since then. So I'm 18 years old now. So in all of my 18 years, I have never, there's not one day when I haven't worked out. So I think when I'm about 25, 26, and I'll start going easy and maybe, I'll work out on alternate days or something like that. But right now it's every day.
So, while you're just 18 years and you've achieved so much in your life in like just 18 years, and there's still
I
such
was
a
a
long
child prodigy.
period.
I was a child prodigy. I started very early. Like in primary school, I started doing advertising,
I'm
so
so
I
not born
started.
only and I've started.
Correct.
Like my spirit has just come down to learn from you.
Correct.
And
Correct.
maybe when you're like 25, 26, I'll be born. So, everyone questions me, how do you do this and how do you do that? So now you all know that, I'm just like him. I'm a mini him. And every time I find lines like, iske liye kya jawab? I'm like, Bharat, sir, what would you do in this place?
But I must also tell you that she picked up some bad habits from me. That when we come for see, I do plays for having fun. I do theatre because I enjoy rehearsals. I don't enjoy the performances so much. I enjoy the rehearsals. And if we have a 2-hour rehearsal, I talk for 1 hour, 45 minutes, tell them stories, and we rehearse for 15 minutes. So in fact, people like when I did the earlier play, the Blame It on Yashraj, these people, if I wasn't in town and if they had a rehearsal happening, they would nastily send me messages saying, "Sir, you were not in town yesterday. We finished our rehearsal in 1 hour's time. With if you were there, we would have to listen to your stories for 2 hours, the same stories that we've heard again and again, and then just rehearse for a little while." So she picked up the same habits. And after That's My Girl, when she did some other play, Blind Date or something like that, she bored those guys who were working with her, the director and the co-actors, by telling them stories all the time. So I said, if you keep doing this, nobody will give you a role because, I said, I'm a director, I could do all this, I can get away with this. So you wait. Don't start doing this right now. But she does it.
So while blind date, I was replacing another actor. And I was like, so everyone is going to question me this. So Bharat sir had replaced another actor in Big Deal. No, what deal?
A double
Uh,
deal.
Double Deal. And he had replied for that. So what was your reply then? Because I copied
No,
you.
our double deal. There's this fabulous actress called Manjari Fadnis who was. There's just two of us. It was a thriller directed by Mahesh Dattani, and the play was done earlier. There were two people who had done the play. Mahesh Manjrekar and Sandhya Mrudul, I think, had done the play earlier. And then years later, it was relaunched as Double Deal Reloaded with me and Manjari. And we had been called on some radio stations for interviewing and promoting the play. And they said, "But sir, if that play was done earlier by somebody else, why is it now? Why have they changed the cast?" I said, "No, honestly, the producers wanted somebody good looking this time around. So they took Manjari and me." And I said that with a straight face. They didn't know what to ask me next. Because I was talking about people like Mahesh Manjrekar and Sandhya Mrudul who are big stars. But that's the truth. That was the truth. That we made a lovely couple on the stage because we were both so good looking. And that's why the play worked, whatever shows we did.
And as he narrated this story to me, I am his chela. I copied it, and when I was asked for a blind date, what was it when
No, but
he
the funny thing in that play was that Mahesh Dattani is not like me. He's a very serious, sincere director. He's very passionate about theatre. So we used to rehearse continuously, and he said, "Look, this is the attitude you have." It was a thriller that I sort of uh, tie up this girl Manjari to get some information out of her, and then she sprays something on me, and she ties me up in handcuffs, and then she just sort of it's a thriller like this. So he was very keen that we keep to the seriousness of the play. And once we were in Calcutta doing the show, and I tied Manjari in those handcuffs against a little platform like that we had built. And Manjari is supposed to shake and say, leave me," kind of a thing. And that mad girl, Manjari, she's a very strong girl. She broke those handcuffs. And the next scene was that she had to tie me in the handcuffs. Now, the audience could see that the handcuffs were broken. So I was just standing there holding the handcuffs and holding the platform. And they could all see that I could have got down and hit that girl. I said, "Manjari, you're supposed to act. You're supposed to say, leave me, but not really pull the handcuffs so hard." So we used to have fun like this, which of course Mahesh Dattani sir didn't appreciate much because he's very passionate about theatre. For him, theatre is like a religion. So, he didn't like all this fooling around.
that's like a
But
Ananth
we,
sir.
yeah, but Anand sir at least fools around. Mahesh sir is much more serious. And he was a director of that, so he sort of had to have that thing of, hello, please get into the role and do it properly. Let's rehearse properly. And there was two of us. And I said, but sir, don't worry, we just add sex appeal to the whole play and it'll work, He didn't appreciate that very much. So one person who I'll never work with because he won't take me is Mahesh Dattani.
That is true because all the stuff you've done, he's like terrified when it comes to you. Okay, so Bharat, so you did this beautiful play called That's My Girl, which I have been hearing a lot about. And
Yeah.
how did you find the girl for your That's My Girl?
You see, we were looking for somebody who wouldn't charge too much money. And तो सस्ता और कोई टिकाऊ कोई लड़की मिलती है क्या? So it was very difficult because all the good actresses were charging a lot of money and we didn't want to pay so much money. So we said, let's look for somebody who will do it free or who will have a house where we can rehearse. So there were all these considerations in that. No, but I'll tell you about That's My Girl. Like Amul Butter Girl, I didn't create her. It wasn't my creation. Similarly, before I did That's My Girl, we had done a play called Got to Be Aishwarya. Same play with different cast. And then when we decided to do the play again, we changed the name, revised a few things a few scenes in the play. And then I had Ananth Mahadevan in mind because I've worked a lot with him. I've worked in Bottoms Up with him. I've worked in Blame It on Ashraj with him. I've done films with him, which he has directed. So Ananth Mahadevan fitted that role perfectly because I wanted a look like that. And then Ananya Datta had done the girl in Got to Be Aishwarya. So she knew the whole play. So she did the girlfriend's role. And we were desperately looking for a girl because the whole play is about this girl. And I don't know too many people. The people that I knew wouldn't fit into this thing. I wanted somebody who's bindas, tomboyish looking, who would be fun. And Richa, who was one of the producers, one day came and said, I know one girl who's done a television serial and I'll give you her photograph. And she gave me a photograph of this fat girl. And I said, Richa, I hope you know what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for some fat girl like this. Hello, please go out and find more girls. And so they all went and said, okay, we'll look for more girls and things. And we couldn't find the girl that I really wanted. And then one day Richa said, I said, look, hello, call that girl anyway, that fat girl. Let's have a look at her and see if she works out. And in walked in Shweta Rohira. And I said, this is not the girl. This is not the photograph that you've shown me. She said, no, this is the same girl. Now she's lost weight. I said, are you crazy? Nobody can lose so much weight in such a short time. He said, no, she's lost so much weight. And then this girl, I realized, was a perfect fit. And the entire thing worked so well because she was doing a play for the first time. So she was very dedicated and you were very dedicated and you did all the rehearsals very well. I still remember that when we were starting the play, you were getting a film to do. Yeah. And you had to leave for some 15 days for that shoot. And then you gave up that film because you didn't want to miss the rehearsal and lose this role, which was, I think, great dedication. And I liked that. And then somehow the girl that we had in mind, this was the girl that we had in mind. So you fitted that thing perfectly. It was like a perfect casting. It was so perfect that after every show, we have people coming up to us and saying, we want to meet that girl, I have a daughter like this who used to be exactly like this. And now she's gone away to the US to study. And I miss her. And suddenly I saw this girl on stage. And I had so many people coming at every show in Mumbai, in Pune, everywhere. People would always come backstage and sort of want to hug Shweta and say, oh my God, you're like my daughter. And all kinds of things happened. Film stars came and said the same thing. I remember Wahida Rahman came and said she loved your performance and she loved the thing. And I think it was a perfect fit. I personally feel that a good casting is 50% of the war won already. That's how That's My Girl worked. And plus we had Shweta's house, which had 3 lovely dogs. So besides my story, we could also play with the dogs. There was continuous supply of food coming. So we would eat, play with the dogs and tell my stories. And if some time was left after all of that, then we would rehearse for a little while. And in Shweta's house, the other speciality of Shweta's house, which I must publicly say, is that she would say, what do you want to have? Tea, coffee, or lime juice or something like that, fresh lime. And then she would say fresh lime with water or soda. So people would say, some people would say, I'll have coffee. Then there'll be a deathly silence and coffee wouldn't come. Then after some time, when you sort of inquired what happened to the coffee, somebody would come from the kitchen and say, "Doodh nahi hai ghar mein." Then somebody would say, "That's okay, I'll have black coffee." Then there'll be a deathly silence again, and then somebody would again come and say, "Coffee khatam ho gayi hai." So people actually started bringing their own coffee beans, their own coffee powder. I don't think anybody brought the milk along with them, but at least coffee they used to bring because they said coffee nahi milegi yahan pe.
I think
So
Tanaza got a coffee.
that got coffee once. Correct. So that was the fun part of rehearsals. We had a great time with those dogs and the food and the stories. It was lovely. And then Shweta's
Oh.
family would join in, and then they would, Shweta's mother would enact other plays that she had done, and she would enact those roles and show us. So it was hilarious. It was great fun. I think we had a great time. And I always believe that rehearsals, I mean, I do plays for rehearsals. I'm not a theater person who's sort of passionate about theater like that. For me, having fun, making new friends, rehearsing with them, telling them stories, getting a new audience to tell my stories, that's my lookout for doing a play, you know. So I
So
had
I
a
have
great
to
time
tell
doing that.
everyone that Bharat sir would start narrating a story, and I knew by then that it's the second or third time I'm listening. So I would be like, "Sir, I've heard this," and he's like, "Yeah, but you keep quiet. Those two people have not heard. They are my new
Correct,
audience."
correct. And I would always get somebody. Sometimes her dad would come in and sit and I say, he wasn't there last time. He doesn't know this story. And he would say, I don't know this story. So after some time, she stopped those people from coming in. And she would say, जब तक rehearsal खत्म नहीं हुई कोई room से बाहर नहीं निकलेगा. So then I had to restrict my stories.
So Vivek Kapoor is saying, "What a gracious host." Yes, that I think I was. So Nila saying, "Love you," inspiring Shweta. Thank you, Dr. Saju, and a lot more messages are coming in, which I'm going to come back to. But in your 18 years of life, which is such a short span, you've already won 14 awards and more, and you were the one who
Yeah,
started English advertising and
yeah,
English theater. So how did
yeah.
you think of combining this Hindi and English
I'll
and start a new
tell
trend?
you. I'll tell you. I mean, it's an oft-repeated story, so everybody knows about this, but I'll say it anyway. See, I did my entire schooling in Marathi. Okay, in a Marathi boys' school in Girgaon is where I studied. So in the 10th standard, we had lower English, like people have lower Marathi in English schools. This is a boy, his name is Ram, this is a girl. That English we had in the 10th standard. And after passing from an all boys Marathi vernacular school, I joined Elphinstone College, which was at that time, Xavier's and Elphinstone were these premier South Bombay upper crust snobbish colleges. And I joined Elphinstone College first year arts. And I had 145 prettiest girls in town in my class and 5 boys. And out of the 5 boys, one boy was blind. So he wasn't interested in girls. One was the principal's son. So he couldn't be seen talking to girls because either his mother or father who was staying upstairs would see him and say, don't fool around with girls, go and study. So he stayed away from girls. One guy was very studious. So he would only study. That left two of us who were interested in 145 girls. And you don't have to believe this, but I was better looking than that guy. I had hair, I had a kiss curl, all kinds of things. I had like a Supermanish kiss curl and all that. What they call kiss curl. But that guy could speak English. I couldn't speak English. So even if a girl came to me and said, shall we bunk the next lecture and go for a film? I would answer that in my mind first, in Marathi. मी आईला घरी जेवायला येतो म्हणून सांगितलंय ते मी नाही येऊ शकत. Then I would translate that. I've told my mother I will come home for lunch, so I do not think I will be able to come. Then I would say it 2-3 times to make sure that my pronunciations were right. So by the time I had an answer for her, she would have gone for the film and come back. Then I realized that there are these great opportunities of meeting prettiest of girls in Mumbai, and I can't speak English. And then I realized that there's nothing like perfect English. Everybody adds in their own mother tongue words and things like this. Now I said, I know Marathi, I know Hindi, I know Gujarati. So when I started talking, if I didn't know an English word, I would use a Marathi word or a Hindi word or a Gujarati word. And as time went on, somebody called it, I started using that in advertising later. And then theater. And then somebody gave it a fashionable name and said, this is Hinglish. and Bharat is the man who created English. And I said, I didn't create English. It was a handicap that I had, that I didn't know both the languages very well. So I used to mix and match, but that worked. And I think I think English is the way English is still alive in India. Because people aren't ashamed anymore. There was a time when only English speaking people spoke English. Because otherwise people were scared that I don't know the correct words, so how will I speak? Now they bindas they speak because they know that they can use Hindi words, Gujarati words, Marathi, Tamil, Telugu, whatever words they want, and create a language. And I think that's how communication should be. See, communication is not about a perfect language. Communication is about perfect communication. Are you communicating what you want to the person who's listening to you? That is more important than being perfect. In fact, if you're too perfect, people don't trust you. I always say that is the drawback Shashi Tharoor has. He speaks so brilliantly well that you hate him. You don't like him because you can't speak like him. It's always good to speak in a way your audience speaks. Make the same mistakes. Your pronunciations accent can be as bad as their accent. Then they love you because you're one of them. But if you're perfect, then you're on an upper pedestal. Then they hate you because, oh my God, this guy speaks so well. I hate him. I can't speak like this. In fact, once I was in a seminar in Pune, some huge big seminar, and Mr. Tharoor was the speaker before me. And he finished speaking and they said, Mr. Dabholkar, now it's you. And I said, can we have a 10-minute break? And they said, no, we've just had a tea break, so we can continue. But unless you want tea, we can get for you. I said, no, I don't want tea. I want the audience to get over his perfect English accent. Otherwise, they wouldn't understand my Marathi English, so it's better that we give them a little gap for 10 minutes. But in life, whether it's advertising, whether it's theater, whether it's just talking to people, if you can talk to them the way they talk, they like you. In advertising, we call it empathy. That the audience or the listener starts empathizing with you. That you are one of them. This person is like me. He makes mistakes, but so do I. So I like him. And that's how communication always works if you can create empathy with your audience.
If you had to describe yourself in one word, what would it be?
Drop dead gorgeous. 3 words.
I said one. See?
Gorgeous.
Okay. While that's my goal, there was a time when our set reached really late, like almost at the time when we were about
first
to
show, not one day. First show, opening night.
Opening night,
we found out.
we didn't have a set only.
We didn't have a set. And we had opening night, all the important people coming to see it. Everybody there, full house, and no set. And then we ran around and because the set was there, but it was the wrong set. In the sense, it was all wrong dimensions, everything was wrong. Then we found out somebody else who had done another play. We knew the producers, so we requested them to send their set to us. And we did the first show with that. But I'll tell you one thing, very honestly. Frankly, people do not go by what the set is. They go by what the play is. I mean, Prithvi Theatre most of the time don't have any sets. So people go to see a play without sets. In fact, I think I was one of the first people when I had done my first ever play called It's All Yours, Janab. I was the first person which put up a complete set in Prithvi Theatre. A complete set of a mansion, which people never put up. I had put that up. So people frankly don't give a damn. You can work it on a black curtain. If you can involve your audience, if they like what you're doing, if they like the characters, if they like the dialogues, they don't bother if the set is correct or not, or if there is a set at all or not. When we went to Hyderabad for a show, we didn't carry a set. We went there earlier and we created sets with whatever they had. They had some panels there. They gave us the chairs and things like that. And we created a set with that. We went to Kuwait, I think.
Yeah.
And in Kuwait, we had no set. We just got furniture from them, from the same hall, some sofa sets and things. And we had a flat black curtain at the back. And it worked as well. The audience loved it. So I don't think set adds to a thing. It doesn't, if your play is good, set doesn't matter. Because you may have a fantastic set and a bad play and it doesn't work. The set is a garnishing on top. It's not the mainstay of a play.
But how do you remain cool? Because every play is like a different day, a different audience,
Yeah.
and different mistakes. So how do you
Yeah.
keep your coolness and calmness? Because
I keep my cool when a play is going on. I've written and directed 32 plays up to now, and thousands of shows all over the world. And one thing I do is I never see what is happening on stage. That's what keeps
that's
me
true.
cool. All the other directors, they have this thing that they sit at the back of the hall and they're watching and making notes for the actors. And they say, no, you did this wrong, or that light came wrong there. And that's what a director is supposed to do. They sit in the audience, see from the audience point of view, and make notes, tell the actor, this is what you did wrong, next show improve this or do this. I stand in the wings, make a hole in the curtain, and I don't look at the stage. I'm looking at the audience. So I keep cool because I don't know what mistakes they're making on stage. I've never seen them. I'm looking into the eyes of the audience. And believe me, I firmly believe that when audience, after the show, when they come and talk to you, they all say good things about the play. Nobody comes back and say, lousy play, yeah. We wasted our life and we so much time and money. Don't do plays like this. Nobody comes and says that. They all come and say, sir, fantastic, yeah. Bahut maza aaya. This show will run forever. It will never stop. They all say that. But when you're watching them without they knowing that you're watching them, they don't know the truth. If they're getting bored and they're fidgeting around and looking at their phones and talking to each other and thinking, chalo, nikalte hain, khana khane ko jate hain abhi. They won't come and say that to you backstage. But I'm watching them. I'm looking at people all around. I watch from both the wings. I have holes made into curtains on both sides. So once I run this side and see, once I run that side and see. So I don't know what's happening on stage. So I'm very cool because I think everybody's doing it well. I'm hoping that they're all doing it well. They all know their dialogues, they all know their movements, and I don't look at them. So I keep my cool.
What's your favorite memory of That's My Girl?
My favorite memory of That's My Girl is, uh, I think when in Pune we were doing a show and your mic fell down.
That was NCPA.
At your no, even Pune, your mic wasn't working, and that's the
Oh
first
yeah.
time there was no hole to be made in the curtain. So I ran outside and I was standing somewhere on the side to watch the audience, and Ananya, who was with you, could be heard clearly, and you couldn't be heard. So they couldn't figure out. They just thought that you're a sad girl because they could, except for the first few lines, they couldn't hear you. But then I think that got fixed at some point. That was my
By
most
interval.
memorable thing that was saying because in spite of that, in spite of the technical glitch, remember all those ladies who came and met you afterwards, and they were waiting outside when we were leaving the stage. They were waiting on the corner, and they were coming and saying, "Hey, we want to hug you. You're so fantastic." So that's what I'm saying. Technical glitches don't matter. It's finally the character and the acting that you do that grabs the people.
What
Little
is
things, mistakes don't matter.
what is the best compliment that you've got after your plays?
The best compliment that I get is when I see people laughing and enjoying a play. It's not what they come and tell me. Because when people talk to you, they're mostly your friends or people who know you. Or, mostly people don't want to be rude to you. And then I exercise a lot. So I don't look the sort who you can come to and say, "Bekar play tha, bore ho gaya hum log." I'll beat them up. So people always on my face say good things about me. Even my actors, even people like you, on my face, you always say good
I have
things
never been bad
and say, "Oh,
to
very
you.
well. It was such a pleasure working with you." Why? I'll give you. I don't know what you say behind my back because there are only two, three of you. In Blame It on Yashraj, these guys, when we started the rehearsal, they were all very respectful of me. They would say, "Bharat sir, I'll be coming 10 minutes late today. Is it okay? Bharat sir, I made a mistake. I hope." They were like that for the first few rehearsals and shows. Then they started being rude to me. "Hey, Bharat sir, what is this? Yeah, this is thing. You came late, but we've improvised there and that thing went much better." So people, when they come and talk to me, I don't expect that they'll tell me the truth of what they really felt because they never do. They wouldn't do it to anybody, but more and more they wouldn't do it to me because I don't look the sort who will take an insult lightly. I will, but they don't know that. But watching that audience is the true compliment you get when you see people coming and enjoying themselves. When I did Bottoms Up, my first Bottoms Up, after the 49th show, one Parsi guy came to me and said, "Mr. Dabholkar, you've done 49 shows, of which first 5 shows were sponsored shows, not open to the audience. But the other 44 shows, I have seen all of them. I come and see every show of this play because you keep changing it. So I said, tomorrow is our 50th show. Are you coming for the show? He said, yeah, I've already bought my ticket. So I called the producer, Barjor Patel, and I said, Barjor, this guy, he's seen all our plays. So Barjor said, do me a favor. That time there were no mobile phones and all that. So he said, are you coming tomorrow? Come and meet us backstage. I'll get a photographer and we'll take a picture with the cast and say, here's a guy who's seen all our 50 shows. So he said, no, no, sir, please don't do that because if my friends see it, they'll think I'm mad. I said, even I think you're mad. I told him. Why would you say this? See this play 50 times? I wouldn't see it 50 times. But that is the compliment. The compliment is not in terms of what people say to you. Bottoms Up was the first play where tickets were sold in black. People were actually standing like movie theaters, and tickets are expensive. English play theaters, I mean, tickets may not have been that expensive like they are now. Now they're 3,000 rupees and 2,500. That time they must have been 1,000 rupees or whatever. So if you buy a 1,000 rupee ticket for some 1,200 or 1,400 rupees and buy 4 of them, can you imagine? People had never bought tickets in black for a play. But for Bottoms Up, that was the first ever play where people bought tickets in black. And that is a compliment. Compliment is not what people say, it's what they do.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you this or that. Okay, so just you have to say this or that. Not one sentence, not answer in like 10 sentences. Just this and that. Since
That's
you love to
difficult for me,
travel.
but I'll try. This or
Yeah, I know
that,
it's very
keep
difficult.
it brief is difficult, very difficult for me. So you'll have to give me some concessions in this case, because you know me.
Yeah, so I had to tell everyone when we were in Kuwait because Sir has done so many movies and he'd not touched his acting thing at all in our this live session, which will come again because we still have to know about the other plays besides That's My Girl. We have to know about his acting career because he's a
Your
superhero. He's
voice is
done
gone. I
South.
can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Speak.
Hello?
Yeah, speak now.
I
Yeah.
Yeah, see, again, I was complimenting you and your voice went. So you
Say it
are
again.
not
Say it
used
again.
to taking
Repeat
on.
it 2, 3 times. Repeat it 2, 3 times.
So I was telling everyone that, we've still not been able to talk about the other plays that you've done besides That's My Goal, because there are like 31 plays more that we need to talk about. We need to talk about the movie you've directed. There's this one movie, God Only Knows, that you've directed.
Yeah.
So people, God Only Knows he's directed it doesn't sound like it should, but God Only Knows is the title.
Right, yeah.
Hyphen, he has directed that movie, which we've not spoken about. And so we're going to do a lot more live sessions, and still he has to tell a lot of stories from That's My Goal because every time we met, we had a new story. But we're gonna keep it short because 5:51 हो गया है 6 बजे इंस्टा हमें कहेगा bye bye. So let's get on to when we were in Kuwait. A lot of people would come to Sir and be like, oh, we've seen you and you're this villain, and and I can't remember in which movie we seen you, and Bharat sir would go all blushing, which is like people who don't know him think he's a monster like Shrek.
Hello.
Okay, I think I can hear biryani more than you right now.
No, that is Tilottama.
Oh, okay. So now that he loves to travel and there are a lot of travel stories that we need to know, we'll just stick to this and that for now. So ocean or small town?
Small town.
Mountain or city?
Mountain.
Sour or salty?
Sorry?
Sour or salty?
What or salty? Sour. Salty.
Savory or sweet? And the net is buffering out. Savory or sweet?
Sweet.
Coffee or tea?
Neither. Milk.
Bonvita or Complan?
Nutramul.
Bright or pastel?
Bright.
Book or movies?
Book.
Dusk or sunset?
Dusk.
Dawn or sunrise?
Sunrise.
Free spirit or homebody?
Free spirit.
Kind soul or creative?
Creative. Creative is always kind.
Yay! You have won the hamper because you stuck to this and that. You did not elaborate. Good, you're learning from me. I'm proud of you.
Correct. Do I get a coffee hamper or something?
Like you get the coffee in our
I'm always on,
house.
that's the trouble. I'm always on the wrong show. That's the trouble with me. I am to wrong place. I meet the wrong people. I'm on the wrong show. This is not coffee with Shweta. I'm sorry. I wish I had known
Yeah.
earlier.
This
Okay,
is
I have to go now.
high tea
Bye.
with Shweta. But before you go, what do you want to tell the beautiful viewers who've come and removed time, send their messages, they've been commenting, they're sending hearts?
Nothing. Don't take the lockdown is getting over soon, hopefully. Don't take it very seriously. Don't take life very seriously at all. Life is not worth taking seriously. You have only maybe 100 years to live, and why worry about things? Just enjoy yourself, laugh a lot, laugh at everything, and you'll be very happy. If you're laughing, you're cracking jokes, you'll always be happy. There's nothing to worry about. Lockdown will get over. We'll beat this corona, whatever is happening. So nothing to worry about. Just keep on laughing, keep on meeting people and talking to people who'll tell you funny stories, who'll tell you jokes, who'll make you laugh. Don't get into serious stuff. It's not worth it. Life is not worth being serious about.
Thank you. This was such a sweet message, Bharat sir. And
Thank you.
I'm going to hound you more after going off live. So see you soon.
Okay, bye. Bye.
Bye.